Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
That this is not the last war. It is a step towards the path where we need to achieve all our goals.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will continue to strike Hezbollah wherever necessary, despite the US-Iran ceasefire.
It was a grave violation, intentional grave violation.
PoliticsToday accused Israel of a massacre in Lebanon. 203 people were killed on Wednesday, according to the health ministry. PoliticsToday also said the Strait of Hormuz will reopen if the US withdraws its aggression. Israel carried out a large wave of airstrikes across Lebanon on Wednesday, which killed and wounded hundreds of people, while officials said the war against the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah continued, despite a ceasefire in Iran. Israel described it as the largest wave of airstrikes in this conflict, hitting more than 100 of what it called Hezbollah command centers and military sites in 10 minutes. The southern suburbs of Beirut, southern Lebanon, and the eastern Bekaa Valley were all targeted. The Lebanese health ministry said at least 182 people had been killed, a number that is likely to rise, with 890 wounded. Donald Trump has again attacked NATO for not supporting the US in the Iran war, following a private meeting with its Secretary General Mark Rutte. In a post on social media, the US president said NATO wasn't there when we needed them, and they won't be there if we need them again. Meanwhile, Rutte has described his meeting with Trump as very frank and very open, despite clear disagreements. Ahead of the talks, Trump has toyed with the idea of quitting the transatlantic military alliance after several NATO countries resisted his calls to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz to ease rising global oil prices. Al Jazeera has condemned the killing of one of its Palestinian journalists in an Israeli strike on the Gaza Strip, describing it as a deliberate and targeted crime. Mohammed Wiswa, a correspondent at the Al Jazeera Mubasher channel, and one other person were killed in a drone strike on a vehicle in Gaza City. The Israeli military alleged that Wiswa was a Hamas terrorist and said it carried out the strike because he posed a threat to its forces in the area. Both the network and Hamas have previously denied that Wiswa was affiliated with any armed group. Mexican army divers have rescued a miner from a flooded underground tunnel 2 weeks after he was first trapped. Francisco Zapata Najera was stuck 300 meters below ground after an embankment collapsed at the gold mine in the northern Mexican state of Sinaloa. 25 workers were inside the gold mine when the tailings dam, a structure which holds mining waste, burst on the 25th of March. 21 miners managed to get out, but 4 were trapped. It took rescuers a full 13 days to locate Francisco Zapata. Following more than 300 hours of searching, divers finally spotted the blinking of the miner's torchlight, which Zapata had turned on and off to alert them of his location. The search continues for another miner who is still missing.
All of you down there on Earth and around Earth, we love you from the moon.
The Artemis II crew say they have many more pictures and many more stories to share with the world as they prepare to return to Earth. The 4 astronauts on board the Orion spacecraft have completed their mission around the moon and are expected to splash down off the coast of San Diego at around 1 a.m. on Friday morning.
Now, distance from Earth count up and the distance from the moon count down.
Speaking to media from space on their way home, the mission's pilot, Victor Glover, said the crew were eager to share what they had seen with the world. It was the first time hearing from the team since their historic lunar flyby that saw them travel further away from Earth than any other human. And pop stars BTS have kicked off their marathon 85-date world tour. The 7 members soldiered on through pouring rain. BTS began the show with a heavy nod to their new songs, but continued to belt out their old classics like Fake Love and the fully English hits like Dynamite. The band members also kept the audience entertained with asides including light-hearted warnings on how to stay safe in the rain. The act took a break at their peak in 2022 for mandatory military service, also using time for solo projects. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.